Welcome to Wired to Hunt's Rut Fresh Radio, bringing you the latest reports from the Whitetail Woods. Presented by First Light, creating proven, versatile hunting apparel for the stand, saddle, or blind. First Light. Go farther, stay longer. And now, your hosts, KC Smith and Tyler Jones.
I'm your host, KC Smith. Deer season is finally here. Specifically, archery season has finally arrived. Hunters around the country are excited. However, weird weather, food sources, and just questionable deer movement has everybody a little on edge. We get the reports from around the country to give you what you need to know. This is Rut Fresh. Let's go.
Welcome to Rut Fresh. This is your host, Tyler Jones. KC Smith is with me. What's going on, dude?
Yo, just hanging out, dude. Just actually doing some hunting, which is nice. We're archery, whitetail, deer hunting, which is one of my favorite things to do.
Guess what? It's Whitetail Week.
That's right.
And this podcast is brought to you by First Light, who happens to be running a sale on whitetail pattern called Spectre. Mm-hmm. That is their First Light camo pattern and things that you can find online at a good price that are very quality-made equipment for you to go kill some whitetails with this year.
That's right, man. And Whitetail Week is a lot more about, good deals on good gear because the meat eater feed in general has got a bunch of stuff going on for whitetail right now. In fact,
celebrating whitetail, man.
The Element guys are on the meat eater feed right now. Wow.
Finally.
Yeah, they go crazy. So, anyways, we talk a lot about spot and stalk stuff on that. And, we are going to have on our Element podcast, there will be a October Q&A, and I'm sure we're going to cover a lot of that spot and stalk and all kinds of other whitetail questions that y'all have sent in. So check that out if you haven't. It launched the same day as this podcast. But yeah, it is Whitetail Week across meat eater platforms. So FHF, First Light, everybody's just going wild about this stuff. And it really is a lot more about let's talk about the most hunted big game animal in North America a little bit. Because it's pretty important. That's right. Well, I don't know. It's hard to say.
I think so.
It's cool because they're around everywhere and they're so different.
It's hard to beat a bighorn sheep, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's right.
You just don't get to hunt them.
That's it.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. I still put a big whitetail buck up against it, you know what I mean? Maybe one that I might have had a chance to shoot recently. Or maybe another one I had a chance to shoot recently. I don't know. Maybe one that you had a chance to shoot recently.
Oh. So I think in the spirit of Whitetail Week, we're going to tell you about our week a little bit.
Yeah.
The man Tyler Jones has a vendetta against the state of Nebraska, and he wants to shoot all their whitetail deer.
That's right. I did say that.
It's like his MO, dude. He wants to kill every whitetail deer in Nebraska, and he has got a good start on it.
Yeah. Well, they got me for a couple of years there, bro. They had me over there.
They had us the first half. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. In Nebraska. The first couple of years I went, it was a struggle. There's a lot of dudes competing for early season deer there, and it's just been it was tough. It's hot. There was bugs. There was mosquitoes like crazy one year. I had worked in on a really nice velvet 8-point one afternoon and got him at 12 yards. And when he came out, he kind of peeped me and a big old Huggy Bear sitting next to me, getting ready to video and shoot this deer, and that'll happen. Your profile is just twice as big when you got another guy in the woods with you, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. If not more. I mean, you start spreading out and multiplying, and things just get, cameras and big old mics on top and all the stuff. So it makes it difficult to kill deer and get real aggressive, which, is something you like to do. You're a very aggressive hunter. Not very, but you're an aggressive hunter. You understand the knowledgeably aggressive side of things. And anyway, so the first 2 years and lots of driving and lots of being broke too. Like 19 was one of the more poor years of my life, 2019. And, it was just tough. And guess what? About 2021, you talked me into going back to Nebraska. I was done. 2 years, I figured out I didn't want to be there again. It was hard. It was tough. It was hot. You talked me into going back, and I end up shooting a really nice buck the memory is such a good memory, man. And
it was a fun night.
It was. I mean, from the whole day, the transpire of the whole day, it was awesome. And I think it was September 4th when I shot that deer. So he was real fresh out of velvet, you know, just had like them spiky sharp things on his bases, you know, and just a wide, nice buck that came to like 3 yards and smoked him straight down. And then that was 21. On 22, you and I go back and we do the double thing, which just, you know, released earlier this spring in video format on the Meat Eater channel, which is that's the first part of our series of the buck truck. So you can check that out if you haven't seen it, and it's a cool video. We double within like 15 minutes of each other, and we're sitting like 85 yards apart or something, 81 yards, something like that. It was awesome. So this year we come back, and I actually wasn't really thinking double until you mentioned it, I think. Ooh. And but I did want to shoot a deer. I just wasn't thinking like, oh, we should like continue the tradition here. You know? Man, I was just like, oh, let's go kill some deer.
I knew it was a possibility, but we had pretty much 3 days to hunt, and mornings have been like hot weather, and they just hadn't been great. We have, in fact, hunted mornings and didn't see any deer anymore, like no deer, not even does, right?
Yeah.
So it's really 3 evening hunts. Mm-hmm. So it's like, I guess your chances of doubling up are pretty low. Mm-hmm. It's like kind of like a slot machine almost, right? I don't know much about that, but there's 3 of them, right? So, yeah. You know, like matching them up is going to be pretty tough. But I knew there was a possibility because we're in an area there's a lot of deer. We're hunting some really good food sources, and you know, you and I both tend to shoot a deer. Mm-hmm. So it's
I love shooting a deer.
I know, man.
I got to shoot more than once on that trip, actually.
Dang, are you letting that cat out of the bag right now?
Maybe. I mean, there's some does that got killed and stuff like that, too. So, you know, it was a fun trip.
It was, man.
And we'll probably talk about a lot of that on our podcast, I imagine.
We're just going to leave it there. The double may or may not have happened.
Oh, it happened.
Okay.
It happened. I think you just gotta figure out the details on our podcast.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Good idea. So, with that being said, on that note, we are going to give you what we think about Nebraska for a Rut Fresh extra report here at the beginning of archery season, kind of as a celebration of Whitetail Week. Tyler Jones, knowing what you know about what's going down right now in the state of Nebraska. What would you give the next week on a scale of 1 to 10 for predicted buck movement?
Can I give a reason why?
Yes.
I would predict that buck movement will increase, and I will predict that it will move from a 4 to a 6. I'm going to give them the Midwest 6.
Get that Midwest 6 in there. Way to go, dude.
But by the way, if you hear somebody from the Midwest on Rut Fresh and it ain't the Rut, it's probably going to be a 6.
That's a very moderate thing to do.
It is, man. Yeah. It's like, it's a little bit optimistic, you know? It's kind of like, man, we might get somebody in there that can change our policies and make this thing's better for us. Who knows? It seems like we might.
I think that... Oh, you have reasons. Sorry.
Yeah. The main reason is there's a pretty good cold front coming across kind of Midwest. And I think that what I have noticed in the last week of hunting has been, like you said, slow mornings, and even the evenings, it's been hot enough that it has kind of stifled it's almost compressed the movement, I feel like, into it's just hot and windy, so everything is like last minute, and I have a real good reason as of last night why that's the case, but like 20 minutes before shooting light, all of a sudden it was just like a wave of deer, right? And I saw that the first evening I hunted too, where it was like everything just right at dark just started to really. I mean, you see some does early in Nebraska, but like all the bucks just right at dark, man. So I think that it will increase. It'll bump a point or two going into maybe 3 to 5. Let's call it 3 to 5. You know?
Yeah. Okay. Sounds pretty good. I'm about right there. I don't think I'd change what you had to say on that at all. I would also add, though, that from my observations, the bucks were still in bachelor groups, but they were a little looser, and everybody was feeling the juice.
Yeah.
They started scraping while we were hunting and rubbing, and in fact, I saw a mature buck come over and run, or kind of bumped, didn't run him off, but bumped a 2-year-old who was rubbing, and he went to rubbing on the same tree. So I think that within the next week, we're going to see those bachelor groups start to really break apart. And if you've had deer patterned, that could be bad for you. But if you haven't, and you've been wondering where the bucks are, that could be a really exciting time for you, because they're going to – so deer aren't territorial from what I understand, but they are aggressive, and they have a hierarchy, a level of who's dominant. So you're going to end up with these little bubbles that bucks kind of try to stay out of, and that's why they start scraping and doing all that stuff. Anyways, I think that if you haven't been seeing bucks, there's a chance you start having bucks show up this week with the cold weather and the dispersion. So it's a good time of the year to be a whitetail hunter.
Sure enough.
Let's go listen to what the guys have to say for reports. I've got Nathan Koenig from Alberta, Canada, with Vortex Canada. He has been doing some whitetail hunting up in the North Country. Hey, dude, what's up, man?
Oh, this is it, man. Just got back from a 15-day hunting trip, successful hunting trip. So things are winding down a bit for me, but picking up for probably a lot of the people out here in the woods.
Dude, that's awesome. That sounds like a pretty long go of it for 15 days, but I'm glad to hear you had some success. You killed a really nice whitetail buck from what I saw. Can you tell me what the hunting was like? Was it hot? Was it tough? What was going on up there?
Oh man, it was a lot of deer movement. Lots of does and smaller bucks have been out feeding late into the mornings and early in the evenings up until dark. So it's been pretty awesome, actually. The mature bucks, they seem to be hiding a little bit, probably out exploring their territories, maybe taking inventory of does, but they've been fairly patternable. So it's been good. It was an awesome hunt for sure.
Nathan, what are they eating?
A lot of alfalfa.
So
a lot of hay fields that I've been finding them in.
Yeah. Are they doing any native browse options up there right now, or is it pretty much ag is just the way to go?
Ag, I would say, is the way to go. Yeah. I stuck to all the egg because the deers are piling in. It's starting to get cooler in the evening, so I think they're starting to try and get that fat layer built up for the nasty winters we have up here.
Mm-hmm. Can you correlate that cooler temperatures with a earlier movement from those bucks in the evenings?
I would say the smaller bucks, less mature bucks, are moving, trying to get that feed and hanging out a little bit with the does. But the more mature bucks, they're starting, now that it's getting cooler, they're starting to explore their territory and taking inventory of those does, seeing where they're at.
So alfalfa is kind of a different food source than a lot of the other agriculture, right? Because it's always there. That doesn't rotate very much. Is there any rhyme or reason to what makes a alfalfa field good?
I think it's just a field that the farmers aren't in late into the fall, and they're, once they get that second cut of hay off, it grows back. So there's lots of food there for them. Lots of good nutrients.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so
cool.
They love it. They love that stuff.
Do you think that the moon had any effect on the hunting the past little bit here? We had a full moon cycle just went through.
I started hunting and it was the new moon.
Mm-hmm.
And by the time I was finishing up my hunt, it was the full moon, the harvest moon. And I didn't see a huge difference in the amount of deer movement from day one of my hunt till the end. I was seeing the same, 25 does and 6 bucks out in the field. And the big deer that I did see, they seem to be on a rotation. So I've seen them every 10 days. So I've seen them my second day of the hunt, I saw 2 big bucks. And then on my 12th day of my hunt, I saw the same 2 big bucks in the same field.
That's interesting. So going forward, you got some cooler temps that you've been talking about. We got some different moon cycles. Are you thinking like in the next week that there would be better hunting, and also would you hunt like the same pattern, or would you do something different?
I think the bucks are going to be starting to get a little more nocturnal. I think you're going to get that kind of an October lull where the bigger bucks are, again, they're just touring. coming out feeding later because they're smart. They know they know that hunting season's coming as soon as that first frost shows up, and they seem to start going nocturnal. So I do think that for mature bucks, you're gonna be waiting a little longer and potentially not seeing them out as much during the day.
Gotcha. So if you had to rate the buck movement in the next week based off of any moon, weather variables, or just even diurnal period, what would you rate it on a scale of 1 to 10? Your prediction?
I think the last week was probably up there. It was probably an 8, but I think in the next coming weeks, it's like I said, it's going to slow down a bit. Probably I'd give it a 6 out of 10. It's going to be a little slower.
Gotcha. Well,
awesome, dude. Well, we really appreciate the report from Canada, and I hope you have a great rest of the fall.
No problem. Thanks a lot, guys. Have a great day.
All right, now on the phone, I've got Scotty Lego. Scotty is an Olympic medalist and also just a hunting addict from New Hampshire. What's going on, Scotty?
Hey, how you guys doing?
We're doing well, man. We're actually, I'll say this. So when you go up north out of Texas and other places in the South, you end up in places that don't really spend a lot of time or money on AC. And so, frankly, it's pretty hot where we're sitting right now. We're indoors, and it's like 90 where we're hunting, so pretty warm. But other than that, man, I can't complain. How's everything going for you?
Jeez. Yeah, everything's going good, man. Just it's the season that we've all been waiting for is here, and I'm about 15 days into it, or a little bit over. But signs starting to pop up in the woods, and it's a good time to be out there. And it is definitely a little abnormally warm, but nothing like 90 degrees going out hunting in your shorts. You know?
Yeah. Well, we've been trying to find our way lately. You've been finding your way in the elk woods and in the deer woods. Talk a little bit though about what the deer have been doing in New Hampshire.
So we have a decent population where I live. I'm in southern New Hampshire. I can't speak for the northern part of New Hampshire because that's a world of difference. But yeah, the deer are moving, and this year is pretty different as far for a couple different things. This acorns are super heavy this year, and apples, and beech nuts, and essentially everything that can drop is dropping. So I think it's spreading the deer out, which is kind of dropping deer sightings down a little bit. But yeah, they're out there, and I'm starting to see bucks laying down some signs, starting to see some scrapes opened up, trees being rubbed up, and I'm just trying to hone in on a big one right now.
That's cool, man. So beech nuts are intriguing because I don't know if a large portion of the country has that as a hard mass crop. Is that pretty much just in sequence with when acorns are, or when does the heaviest part of that hit the ground, and how much do the deer hit them?
Yeah, they're dropping right now. I think they are not even close to what an acorn would be or what a white acorn would be as far as preference. I think, if they're in their way or if they had nothing else, they'll definitely hit them. But it's nothing I would really key in on. Maybe if I can get close to, a buck bedding area or where I suspect he might be, and that might be the first tree he might go hit, mill. That might be a factor. But yeah, they don't really love them, but in some areas where they don't have a lot of oaks, like up north, they'll definitely key in on them, and bears will too.
Are you doing any morning hunting right now, or is it a lot of evenings?
Yeah, I'm doing a little bit of both. I won't go to my best spots in the morning because I have no clue where they might be coming from or how they're getting into their bedding area. But I love shooting does, so we're allotted a couple doe tags, actually 3 doe tags where I'm at. So I love having that opportunity as well.
Mm-hmm. Scotty, has the moon played into any of the hunting lately, do you feel like? To
be honest, I don't really pay attention to it too much. I know some people live and die by it. I know some people don't believe in it. I don't really know, to be quite honest. So I did notice, though, the other day when one of your guests on Rut Fresh, he was like, yeah, you know, like I noticed there's a lot of midday activity when it was I think it was a full moon. And sure enough, you know, I ended up seeing quite a few deer out in the open middle of the day. But that also we had a slight drizzle, slight rain. So that could have been a factor as well, but undetermined.
Well, looking forward, I see the weather forecast for New Hampshire is pretty flatline. There's not a lot of fronts or anything moving through over the next week. So as you look to the next week, what would you rate your prediction for buck movement on a scale of 1 to 10?
Oh, man, I hate to discourage anyone out there, and I'm an optimist, but I got to give it a 3.5 just for a couple different factors. One, just the flatline weather, abnormally warm, and I think just having the deer spread out with all kinds of food sources available, I think will limit your number of sightings. But I'm going to go 3.5 to 4.
I killed a buck on a 2 out of 100 day, so sometimes it can work, man. So I appreciate the honest report, Scotty, and just the good thoughts about different food sources and those kind of things, man. Hopefully we'll get to have you back on sometime later this year, maybe give us another New Hampshire report, maybe when it's rocking and rolling up there. Appreciate your time, man, and your optimism at times as well, and hopefully we'll get to talk to you again, man. I hope you kill a big buck.
All right. Thank you, guys. You as well. Good luck.
This is Jimmy Shirey. He gets after it in central PA up in Pennsylvania. They take a lot of pictures of elk, but kill some really nice whitetail bucks as well. What's up, dude?
Oh, working, hunting, just loving life, man.
That's it, man. That sounds like a pretty good time. Y'all actually had some pretty good success here in the past week. Your girlfriend shot a real nice buck.
Yep, opening day. We only had one day to hunt so far this year, and it paid off. So
that's cool, man. So, what tactic were you using to set up on that deer?
I had her set up on a little transition area where I knew they were bedding. They were kind of feeding along a acorn ridge up into some soybeans that the neighboring property has planted.
So, when you say transition, you mean like some like cover to more open hardwoods?
Yeah, the bottom there is real thick cover, and they come up over the ridge. And they kind of crease top of the hill. It's a little oak flat, and then they go into the soybeans. Is
there a place to get them on the top of the hill? Is there a saddle there or something like that, or are you? Yeah,
there's kind of like a little saddle there, and they seem to be liking the one side of it more than the other. So I put her staying there near my trail camera, and they just read the script they've been doing all the last couple months there.
Yeah, just big white oak acorns.
There's a mix, red and white, but the whites are doing really, really well this year.
So you said they were destinating at soybeans. Are those beans still green, or are they turning yellow?
Right now they're still green.
Oh, wow.
I mean, I've seen some of them are turning a little bit, but there's still quite a few that's green.
Gotcha, man. That's cool. So as we look forward kind of like to this next week here, are they still going to be doing the same, or as those beans start to change and the acorns kind of change, are you going to be looking at doing something different?
I'm going to be looking into, and they typically, after a couple of weeks of archery in PA here, they change tactics a little bit and start heading closer to the bedding where I'll try to target.
So, it was a full moon recently. Did that affect you at all?
It almost seemed like it did. Yeah, I'd imagine it did.
Negatively or positively?
I think positively. I think I was kind of prepared for it this year. I haven't really paid attention to it years prior, and I tried to pay attention a little more this year. Mm-hmm. And I was hoping, just from reading when they were going to move, and they actually moved very close to what was projected online.
How about that, man? Y'all fixing to make me a moon believer up on this podcast, dude. I'm telling you, a moon believer.
Off air a while ago, you told me that you had a a number 1 buck that's still out running around. Is that a buck you're going to try to move in on this week?
That's the one I'm hoping. That's one I'm mainly targeting on, and I'm trying not to push him too hard, but not having a lot of time to hunt. I'm trying to also be a little aggressive as well.
So with that aggression, are you doing run and gun setups, or are you just kind of picking the preset stand that you think's the best chance?
I normally do run and gun. I use a saddle, and I just try to follow the sign around as best I can and try to scout as much as I can and read the cameras.
So if you're going forward in the next week, are you going to still be thinking about moon stuff and trying to create success through when those like predicted movement times are based off the moon?
I'm going to keep an eye on it. Like, I'm not a totally firm believer, but I mean, I'm one time and done. I don't know if it's a coincidence or not. So
yeah.
I don't want to rely on it too heavy, but I think it could be something to look into.
Yeah, cool, man. So in the next week, based off of obviously moon, since you're a believer now, and weather and anything else variable wise that you can think of, what would you rate the predicted buck movement on a scale of 1 to 10?
I think we're going to be mid-range 4 or 5. I think a lot of deer are still pretty nocturnal, but I think you can still catch in like unpressured areas. You might see some decent before dark and right after daylight movement.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
cool,
dude, that's pretty good, honest report. I think that's pretty realistic for this time of year. And I tell you what, sounds like you've got a beat on them there in central Pennsylvania, and I hope you get after that big number 1 target buck, dude.
Well, thank you much. I hope so, too.
Cool, dude. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks, man.
Hey, talk to you soon.
All right, I've got Parker McDonald from the Southern Collective. He's out in West Virginia just editing and driving roads and hunting and getting reports and all kinds of stuff. Man, what's going on?
Oh, dude, just sitting outside enjoying the view. I've never been to West Virginia before, and let me tell you something. It's big country out here.
Yeah. Is it? Are you in the hills?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. If it's not the hills, then I don't know what else would be considered.
Yeah. Have you you done any hollering?
A couple times.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's cool, man.
So. I mean, just
any Oliver Anthony's out there hollering back at you?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It's just Appalachia, baby.
West Virginia is known for mountain mamas, but have you seen any mountain papas, as in big bucks, out there?
So they're here. They're absolutely here.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, it's so crazy out in these woods because it's so big, the country's so vast, and it's like it's a very much you got to grind, you got to really want it, you got to put in the sweat equity. But when you get there to the places, there's a good chance that there's going to be some payoff there. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, dude, I like that too, man. Like, just the feeling that if you put in the work, you got a high chance instead of. Like, I don't know, in East Texas, you might be putting in the work and still just end up hunting right next to a dude, or whatever, not having a good chance. So
you put in the work, and it's still a game of odds. Whereas when you put in the work out here, it's always going to be a game of odds, I guess, with deer hunting. But it's going to be you're going to have greater odds when you get there.
Sure.
I think that's kind of the theme that we've seen.
So this week we've talked to a lot of people who are relating deer to agriculture, and I would imagine that's not what's going on out there. So what are those deer doing?
Yeah, most of the deer that have been seen have been either on acorns, right, just like most places in the country early October, and in late September we were seeing that in North Dakota as well. But so right now the white oaks are just starting to drop here in West Virginia. It's been super dry, not been a whole lot of rain, and it's just been hot, so they're just now starting to drop. And so a lot of the guys are seeing them out there, but then guys are seeing them in the open, like the open reclaimed stuff where there's a ton of new growth and green stuff. And so that's what they're seeing. I mean, if you're going to kind of relate agriculture to something, I would probably relate it to that.
Sure.
Those big open, like a clear cut, basically. It's going to do the same thing.
Have you seen any lunar effects on deer movement?
Oh man, I don't know that I could honestly answer that question. I guess we've been here for about 4 days, and it's been, I think the way the moon, it's been bright overhead around like middle of the night, probably, the whole time. So, we don't know. It's been the same basically the whole time. So we don't know what it was like before and what it might be like afterwards.
Gotcha.
Well, if you look forward to the next week, there is like a rain front coming this weekend when it's going to bring some cooler temperatures. What do you think that's going to do to the deer?
Oh, man. I mean, what I think is going to happen is if we get some rain here, Friday, I think there's supposed to be a pretty big temperature drop here. And over the weekend, I think that you're going to start seeing, number one, you're going to start seeing maybe some more acorns start dropping and be able to pinpoint those hot food sources in the hills. And number two, you're going to start being able to find fresher sign, right? Like if it's not raining, you're going to be able to start finding that. And then you add that on top of a cold front and the deer are going to actually be up moving. I think it's going to do a lot for just being able to be effective as a deer hunter and also the deer being on their feet.
Oh, man, let's go. So scale of 1 to 10, what would you predict buck movement to be like in the next week or so?
Man, just because it's so drastic, I'm going to say probably like a 7 or an 8.
Yeah. I like it, man. Well, Parker, I like you, man. I appreciate you as a friend, and I just hope that you guys have a lot of success everywhere you go this year, man. And, everybody keep an eye on Southern Collective, man. They're doing some cool stuff. And, again, appreciate the report from West Virginia, and I hope you get to kill all the bucks and does, especially in Alabama.
Absolutely. I appreciate it, man. I feel the same way about you guys.
I hope that you get a chance at the biggest buck of your life this week. And if you need more inspiration, need more hype, check out Whitetail Week. There's a link below. Click that. It'll carry you to all the cool stuff whitetail going on at Meat Eater. Also, on the Meat Eater YouTube channel, the most recent episode of Buck Truck has launched, and it has got just a gem of a human in there. Clay Newcomb himself came and hunted with us in Arkansas. We chased the bucks around down in the river bottoms. Be sure, if you haven't, to watch the most recent episode of Buck Truck. Link below.
On that note, one of our videos on our channel, it's called Whitetail Bums, is going to be released by that point too. This is a couple of our cameramen, or 3 of them, and they killed 2 bucks on public land in Texas in the same day. It's an awesome video that's going out on our channel, The Element. And there's also one thing I need you guys to do. There is a Caliber Battle article that is by Jordan Sillers. It's on the website, the Meat Eater website. Go over there. And I need you guys, I'm not sure exactly how you vote, but I need you to vote for me, okay? KC got a bye in the first round.
Let's go.
I do not have such luxury. I'm going against Garrett Long. He's got a 6'5", going against my 243. I need you to vote for my caliber so that me and KC can go head-to-head, and then I can lose to his 30-30. Anyway, go over there and check that out. I appreciate it, man. This has been Rut Fresh. Stay fresh.